No one likes punishments, right? And today we will look at the worst school punishments ever. Okay, that will be tough.
All of us have received some kind of punishment in school as a kid. But the form of punishment today is supposed to be less severe than before. But sometimes teachers and schools take things just too far. The worst school punishments are not just physical. They are also mental and psychological. Here are 10 of the worst.
But I didn't get any physical punishments in school, because in Germany otherwise the teacher would get fired immediately. So yeah, my worst punishment in school was, I guess I had to go to the principal, and this is a very bad feeling when you have to talk to the principal.
School punishments some unfortunate kids had to bear. Number 1 will give you chills, so watch out for that. Frozen peas. We bet this student will never look at the frozen vegetable section of the grocery store the same way again. When one student was being disobedient, the teacher forced her to kneel on frozen peas as her punishment, and the result? Her legs were littered with
that hurts! You can clearly see that hurts! Ooh, frozen. I've never heard that, but that must be so uncomfortable. I think this teacher got fired.
multiple deep pea-shaped indents that we're sure didn't disappear after an hour or two. While this punishment doesn't seem too cruel or unusual, it's becoming more popular in Asian countries, and it is not only limited to school. It's happening in homes as well. It is more likely to occur in Chinese homes.
Yeah, I've never heard that before, so yeah, it's maybe an Asian thing, but in the first moment it seems not that hard to like knee on frozen peas, but actually I think it's very cruel.
The reason it is becoming more popular is that the teachers think that the pain or probably the embarrassment of the punishment would motivate students to perform better behaviorally as well as educationally. It is most commonly used on the misbehaved students, and if frozen peas aren't available, frozen corn or uncooked rice will work just as well. There's nothing like...
Okay, thank you for your tips. That uncooked rice works as well. Bro, don't give tips for bad punishments here in this video.
putting someone through excruciating pain to get your point across. Don't play with your hair. If you've ever had a sister, it's safe to say that you threatened to cut off her hair at one point or another. But have you actually done it? One day in class, 7-year-old Lamea Common was playing with her braids, and when the teacher asked her to stop, she, like any 7-year-old that likes to push buttons, didn't stop. The teacher then asked her to come up to her desk for a piece of candy. She quickly proceeded to the teacher's desk, but when she got there, the teacher took out her scissors and cut off one of her braids.
What the frick? This is not okay. This is not physical punishment, but that goes too far. This is like years of growing away just within seconds because the teacher is annoyed of her braid. No, you cannot do that. I hope the teacher regretted afterwards because he maybe got he got fired or something.
All without saying anything. The girl was shocked and started to cry as she returned to her desk, and the other students laughed at her. The teacher would then explain to her.
They laughed? No, when you're like 7 years old, you're like afraid that the same will happen to you. So, no, when I were 7 years old, I would be just afraid. I wouldn't laugh.
Her enraged mother that she did it because she was frustrated. The teacher was fined $175 and
$175. This is peanuts. This is an amount you can just laugh at.
faced some disciplinary action from the school, and little Amaya was transferred to a different class. The starvation method. If withholding recess doesn't do the trick, you can always withhold lunch. One afternoon at Bethune Elementary and Middle School, a huge food fight broke out in the cafeteria. Instead of punishing only the students that were involved,
we hadn't a food fight in my whole school life in the cafeteria. If that would happen, we would no, that wouldn't be good.
the school decided to refrain from serving lunch to all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders for an entire week. Each child was sent home with a letter that they were required to bring their own food if they wanted to have lunch.
Yeah, but this is okay. I guess this is okay. They got a letter, okay, if your kid wants to eat some food in school, just bring it from home, because they were very disrespectful about the food and the cafeteria, that they threw it and like made a fight with like a food fight. This is very disrespectful, yeah, against the cafeteria and food in general. So I think this one is good.
Given that this one is reported to be one of Michigan's worst performing schools, it really comes as no surprise that they would do this. Parents were obviously angered by the cruel and unusual punishment. What's even more disturbing, that many of the other students are less fortunate and receive free meals at school, so by taking that away, they likely would not get any meal at all.
Just bring food from home. You misbehave, you were disrespectful. The parents' task is it to teach how to treat food and that stuff in a respectful way, and then maybe they will change their behavior. But I think this is...
Fortunately, the Education Achievement Authority heard about the punishment and had a chat with the Bethune administration, canceling the punishment. We're not sure you could stoop much lower than taking food away from children that desperately need it.
Yeah, of course, when they desperately need it, this is something different. But they got a letter, you can bring it from home.
Love, not war. While this next punishment may have worked when you were 5 years old and fighting with your siblings, it certainly isn't
I have 2 siblings, guys, and we fought a lot.
Appropriate for high schoolers. After 2 male students attending Westwood High in Mesa, Arizona were caught fighting, they were given 2 options: be suspended or publicly hold hands for 15 minutes in the school courtyard. They chose to hold hands, because what high schooler wouldn't?
Imagine, it's such a hard punishment for you just to hold hand with your biggest enemy in school, okay? You're like standing there for 15 minutes. I can't do that anymore. Okay, but afterwards you will think twice if you do something bad to someone, because the punishment will be maybe to stand in front of the whole school hand in hand for like 15 minutes on the school court.
When they know they would have to face their parents if they chose suspension. During the hand-holding session, other students made fun of them.
Yeah, of course they did.
Yelled inappropriate slurs and used anti-gay language. Some students claimed that it was sending the wrong message about being gay by
punk for traditional marriage, one man plus
using
one
same-sex hand-holding as a form of punishment.
It was just a punishment because they're enemies and then they hold hand. Come on, don't put more in it as it actually is. Okay?
However, the principal had many supporters at the school, and they reminded everyone that it was their choice to hold hands and that it was never meant to reinforce negative thoughts about gays. Segregated lunchroom. Being refused lunch as an entire student body doesn't sound so bad after hearing this story. A group of Hispanic students was refilling their cooler with a water jug when they ended up spilling water all over the floor. All it would have taken is a mop to clean up the harmless mess, but instead, the vice principal, who was an African American, decided to punish all of the 5th grade Hispanics, some which weren't even there on the day when the water was spilled. What do you think their punishment could be for spilling a little bit of water?
Okay, first of all, they only spilled a little bit of water. This is not that bad. Water is this isn't sticky or something. You can just mop it away. And the students, who did this, okay, they get a punishment and fine. I know there are some in the military school. It's like a usual way as well. When one person does a mistake or does something dumb, the whole group gets the punishment. So the whole group is angry on that person. That can be a method, guys, but I don't know in school if it like this effective, because these are all like kids, and he like punished everyone, and it was just the water spilling. So okay, let's see what happened to them.
Well, it turned out that it was to eat lunch on the ground with nothing but paper liners separating.
Okay, they had to eat lunch on the ground. This is like disrespectful food behavior as well, because I don't think that every student like ate the whole lunch when it lays on the ground.
Eating their food from the dirty and disgusting gym floor.
Because they spilled some water. Come on.
10 days, those Hispanic students sat on the floor eating off of thin sheets of paper, while the African American students sat at lunch tables with trays and poked fun at them.
Oh my gosh, and they he like did the punishment for only the race, so to say. This is... Come on.
Teacher told the children to tell their parents about what was happening. The good-hearted mentor was fired, but when the students' parents did finally find out, 7 out of the 15 families involved sued the school, winning a $500,000 lawsuit. The teacher that was fired also received $75,000.
$500,000 and $750,000 fine. This is.
Sadly, this story goes to show that segregation is still ever present in today's society.
Definitely. Guys, shout out in this video goes out to user ZC7PB4B09R. Thank you for your comment. Thanks for your support. If you want to get a shout out in the next video, guys, most of you know it already, just write a comment down below and then maybe you will get a shout out tomorrow in the next video, guys. Because this is Mats, we are the Hey Squad. And yeah, and I upload daily on this channel, so every day one shout out.
And even in our elementary schools, bullied by the teacher. At one particular school, the kids aren't the ones you need to look out for. Rather, it's the teachers. One day in a kindergarten class, 5-year-old Alex Barton, who has autism, kept disrupting class by kicking the other students, throwing and eating crayons, and crawling under tables. Unable to stop this behavior, the teacher sent him to the principal's office. After a discussion with the associate principal, Alex returned to the class. When he returned to class, the teacher had already devised a method of punishing him and told him to stand in the front of the class and instructed the other students to tell him why they didn't like him. After all the students have told their...
Why they didn't like him? Okay, this is like public bullying in front of the whole class. Come on, this is too much. When he has to stand there and then he has to tell the kids why you should not misbehave or something like that, or what he did wrong, this is fine. Why they hate him, this is too much.
Opinion about Alex. She went on telling him that she hated him and didn't like him at all. When she went on asking other students whether or not Alex should be allowed to stay in the class for the rest of the day, and only 2 good-hearted students took his side while the other 14 voted him out. Humiliated by the teacher and his class fellows, poor Alex spent the rest of the day in the nurse's office and suffered severe emotional damage following the incident. With that type of adults who are supposed to be role models, it's no wonder where children learn how to be bullies. Strip search.
Yeah.
Apparently, one school thought all they needed was a hunch to strip search a student. When the vice principal caught a girl with prescription-strength ibuprofen, she said she got it from Savannah Redding, an honor roll student who had no prior substance or disciplinary issues. After hearing this rumor, the vice principal and the administrative assistant pulled her out of class to check her backpack. When they did not find any trace of drugs in her bag, the vice principal ordered the school nurse to strip search because he was convinced that she was carrying them in her underwear. She was asked to shake out her bra and pulled the elastic of her underwear to see if anything would fall out, but no drugs were found.
Yeah.
Now, being a 13-year-old girl is already hard enough, but when you're forced to take off all of your clothes in front of a stranger,
this is a very weird feeling. This is not okay.
It could take a toll on your emotional well-being.
And as you see, she hadn't any drugs, so it wasn't even her fault, or she didn't even do something wrong. This is so wrong.
Humiliated, she left the school and understandably did not want to come back ever. The girl's mother filed a lawsuit that reached the U.S. Supreme Court 6 years later. Fortunately, the court agreed that the search violated the student's constitutional rights, and she won a long-winded battle. Draw.
Okay. Guys, have you subscribed yet? Just do it. Now you have this. Now you have the possibility. It's like one click. It's only like 3 seconds. You would support it, and you're one of the first 22,000 subscribers. This is nice. There will be a time when this channel is very huge, and then you can say you were like one of the first.
Or not. Apparently kids nowadays can even get into trouble for playing cops and robbers. Mason Jammer was acting just like any ordinary 6-year-old on the playground when he put his hand like a gun and began pointing it at...
No. everyone did this at kid when he was a kid. Everyone did that. I was always like, you did a gun with your fingers. This is completely harmless. Come on. Because you watch some movies, you watch some Hollywood movies with like some guns and gangsters and that stuff. Of course, when you're a kid, like, you pretend sometimes.
As friends, something most kids have probably done at one point or another in their lives. Well, the school wasn't too happy about the situation and suspended the little boy for 2 days. They
suspended him? Refuse guns in our classrooms. Okay, but this is not like... This was because of another happening, I guess. Not because of that.
Punishment with a zero-tolerance gun and violence policy. The school claimed that...
Of course, zero tolerance. This is okay, but he did it with his fingers. Come on.
The other students were uncomfortable with the situation. And
you can say to him, okay, don't do that. Yeah, guns are dangerous. You can say to him, then it's fine. This is like exaggeration, yeah.
And that Mason had already been warned about holding up his handgun. But was the child going around pretending to shoot other students? Probably not. In fact, Mason Jammer had never shown any violent tendencies and never even showed up to his school with a toy gun. Juvenile delinquents. Nothing scares a kid more than getting arrested, especially if they've done something illegal, such as shoplifting the candy bar they've had their eye on. But this school district took things a bit too far. There had been so many youth arrests at the Meridian, Mississippi School District that the Department of Justice had accused it of running a school-to-prison pipeline. For at least 6 years now, a minimum of 7 students of color were suspended and even arrested for minor infractions that included wearing inappropriately colored socks, being tardy, and racing to the bathroom without permission to prevent an embarrassing accident from occurring in class. After being arrested, they were thrown in jail without a hearing or
that can't be real, right?
A right to an attorney, and most of them didn't even understand their rights, considering that some of them were as young as just 10 years old.
What?
The worst part
10?
Is that the parents had no idea until the child was in lockup, and they would sometimes stay in jail for days at a time. In addition to this, a large number of students with disabilities were expelled or suspended at alarming rates for similar minor violence. The Department of Justice reported the issue to Lauderdale County, and after no response, they filed a civil rights lawsuit. What kind of bizarre punishment?
What the hell? Okay, this is all for today with the worst school punishments. What was the worst? Write in the comments. My name is Mats. We are the Hey Squad, guys. This is the channel HeyMats. Every day, new upload here. You can subscribe here to other videos. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow.